between ones and twos, for example, is much smaller?
I would say yeah. I think right now in spring there's a pretty narrow margin there. But you've got a group, at least our two deep, you got two lines that can go out and play high-level football. And in the past, we haven't had that. We had to supplement maybe a development guy or a true freshman in there or something to just kind of fill a gap. And this year we've got, I think, at least 11 guys that I feel that could potentially play high-level Big Ten football. So we've got good depth. Now we've got to be able to keep pushing that envelope, right? Keep the motivation going, keep pushing each guys and creating competition on the line and trying to get better every day.
What's the next step for Josh Kreutz?
He's got to take over the line. Last year he did a good job of kind of being the field general out there and directing calls and things like that. He had very few mental mistakes, and he kind of fit on guys and having a decent year. I want to see him take the next step in terms of his physicality and truly dominating opponents and dominating the line of scrimmage. And I think he has the ability to do that. So that's been my focus with him this spring, is to not just kind of cover guys up and fit on guys and just be a decent player, but take the next step to becoming an elite Big Ten player.
When Josh Kreutz doesn't have his hand on the football, who are you trying to experiment with at that spot, if and when it ever you need it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we got a guy that named TJ McMillan that came in a year ago that we kind of slated as a center. He's getting reps at center. We have a guy that joined us mid-year, Kevin Wigington, that's taking reps at center. And then we've got A.J. Dennis as a freshman freshman. Yeah, freshman, mid-year grad is what I'm trying to say. Mid-year grad that is taking some reps at center. And then we've got some guys on the team that came in as walk-ons, joined us a couple years ago, Sam Segalis and stuff like that are taking some reps too. So Will Lee, stuff like that. So, but those top three guys are getting quite a few reps, and then AJ as a freshman is getting some good development work as well.
Seems like getting a plug-and-play left tackle was a pretty big deal in the offseason. What have you seen from JC here in the spring?
JC has had a really good spring. You look at his past pro from New Mexico, you look at his PFF grade, all that kind of stuff that I guess you could say was an evaluation, but you're seeing that now. You're seeing his ability to finish. You're seeing his athletic ability, the ability to recover. Obviously, he's got the measurables. But what I've been really impressed with him is his work ethic. He's a very disciplined practice player. And just puts his head down and goes to work. And it's fun to coach a guy like that. It's fun to coach a guy that he cares very deeply. I mean, he made this choice for a reason also. He made this choice because he knows we can help him develop to reach his dreams. And it's been a great fit both ways.
What did you like and not like about the first scrimmage on Saturday, and what would you like to see differently on this Saturday?
The penalty, we had a few penalties. First time with refs. They had a couple holding calls, debatable, but a couple holding calls, and then we had some post play stuff that is intolerable. We can't tolerate that. And so the penalties were the biggest area for my group to improve upon. But I was very pleased with our ability to run the football. I was very pleased with our physicality up front, our combinations and double teams. We were moving the line of scrimmage. We were doing some good things in that aspect. But we got to eliminate the self-inflicted wounds, right? Which first scrimmage there will be some of that, but a lot of film to clean and teach and continue to get better at.
Melvin Priestley looks like a guy who moves around pretty good, right?
Yeah, Melvin's pretty explosive. Moves well. He's very very twitchy, I guess you could say, but his change of direction, his explosiveness. And the violence that he plays with is exactly what you look for.
What is that skill set? Does it fit on the inside or outside?
Well, he could really have the versatility to play 4 of those positions. He was a tackle at Grambling. We're working him a little bit right there now, and but he does have the ability to play inside. So.
Are you a more encouraged guard to guard than you were maybe a year ago right now?
Those guys have played much better, right? They've kind of learned from the mistakes they made last year and the growth that they've taken, right? That first year of experience, even for a guy as high as we were on Getsky, he moved around a little bit. Obviously, we had him at tackle, we had him at guard, we had him right, left. He's been pretty solid in the interior so far this spring. They had a great offseason. Coach Tank and those guys had a great offseason. Again, I'm really impressed with the way Kreutz has handled the preparation leading into the spring. And then a guy like Zach Chrysler, who's had some struggles, admittedly, but he's also played some good football too, and so just to have the confidence back with him, I think he realizes some of the things that didn't go his way towards the beginning part of the year, and realizes he's got 1 year left to make something happen. And then the development of Des Schuster, who a guy that we brought in last year to really be a starter, for whatever medical things he was going through and didn't get cleared for a while, and now you're starting to see kind of what we saw in the recruiting process. He's having a very strong spring too, particularly in the run game. We got to clean a few things up in some of his pass protections, but and then even guys like Kevin Wigington and Hunter Whiteneck are having good. Hunter's started a little slow in the spring and has really picked it up late, so he's been impressive as of late. And then TJ McMillan, who's basically still in his true freshman year, is continuing to get better and better. So I feel better about the depth. I feel better about the competition there. But then that group that's working with the ones, what they've gone through, it means something, right? It wasn't just a wasted kind of growing pains. They're using those to continue to get better and grow.
Correct me if this isn't fair, but it seemed like Zai's struggle a lot last year was moving out to tackle. But if you get him back in that phone booth, he has a lot of confidence.
Yeah, he does, especially in pass protection, right? This is where I guess when you're on an island, that's a little bit harder for him.
Sure.
I mean, he played a little bit of tackle early in the spring and really was really good in the run game. I just think he feels a little bit more comfortable, inside. But,
sure.
But yeah, I mean, he's been just, you look at his film from years past, and I'm not telling anybody anything they can't go see. There were some technique deficiencies or inconsistencies,
sure,
maybe, and he's really been very adamant about fixing those this spring. And so I've seen just even his leadership and his maturity, right, has been really impressive this spring. So I'm excited for him. He's had a good one so far, and I think now he's got some competition too, and he's got some new guys on the line that have kind of joined and really followed him, Krutz, Geske, all those guys that were kind of here have kind of taken that leadership role, and then we've added some guys that are really going to be beneficial to our room.
What's Des bring to that group that you can actually get him on the field?
Well, he's very powerful, and if you watch his Hutch film, he can run and move and do all those things. He's very smooth. He's got to learn how to finish a little bit more. He's got to learn how to keep his pad level down. But when he is fit with a three technique and his ability to walk a guy off the line, with maybe the hardest block in football, it's pretty impressive. And so he's done some things like that. Now we just got to get his consistency to where it needs to be.
Brandon Henderson, talented kid, saw the field a little bit as a freshman last year. Is he ready to take a leap as a sophomore?
Yes. Short answer, yes, he is ready to take that leap. I think he needs, again, more consistency, but he has been practicing pretty well these last couple of weeks. In the off season, he had a good off season. I think I wanted a little bit more from him, and I told him that before spring, and he's kind of shown that this spring. So, but he's got some versatility too, ability to play both left and right, and so that's been nice for him. And then, he's just becoming a little bit more comfortable too. You're starting to see his personality shine a little bit more, his confidence grow a little bit more. He's no longer, he's still a freshman, but no longer kind of thought of that way, right? He's thought of as a vet. So the expectations are pretty high on him, and I like his versatility. I like his length and his ability to play with his hands, which it's some technique stuff right now because he is pretty powerful.
When you say you wanted to see a little bit more, is it weight room stuff? You want to see him?
I want to see the
the
drive, the motivation, the tenacity at which he approaches his craft. He's incredibly talented, and so that was my kind of talk with him about taking the next step. And I think I've seen that this spring. He's had a good spring.
What's the progress report on Mountis and TJ? Two guys seem to be fighting for 2 teams back.
Yeah, Mountis, where he's come from when he came over from Denmark is pretty remarkable. And I give him a lot of credit. I mean, he works. There's nobody up in that room more than Mountis Moeller right now. And his knowledge of the game is incredibly high. He's a very smart person, but his work ethic is really high. He just really trying to get him to play a little bit more compacted. Right. He's very long, and when you get a long player like that, you get these big, long, lungy steps. You get out of body control, and his body positioning is not great. And he can be a little bit heavy leaned, and so these smaller leverage guys can throw him, and he gets out of balance, right? So that's true with it's true with Dan Skinner. It's true with anybody like across the board that's a big time player, a big tall player like that, is they got to play with great body control, and so that was a big emphasis for him, and he's starting to do that. You're starting to see some of that, but his knowledge of the offense is really high and allows him to play both right and left tackle. So he's having a good spring. He's working with the 2 deep right now, and hopefully he can provide some valuable reserve tackle stuff for us and still fight for that spot.
How about TJ? What's his first spring, right, or second spring for him?
Yeah, second spring for him. Really a lot of growth in terms of, again, body control and balance for him. He was on the ground a lot as a freshman, and led to a couple of injuries and things like that. He's done a nice job of keeping his feet underneath him. He's done a great job learning the offense, learning from a guy like Kreutz, and he continues to get really strong. He's really good when he gets his hands on you, right? And so we just got to keep fostering those strengths. But he's had a good spring too.
Anybody else need Coach McDaniel?
Garch.
Other freshmen, early enrollees, how are they adapting? I know it's a big change for them.
Well, if you interview them, they probably will say something else. But I'm very pleased with both of them. They're as advertised, right? They're freshmen, they're young guys, right? And they should be getting ready for graduation and prom and everything else that's going on in their senior years, and they're here in practice 11, in Big Ten Conference, right? So really pleased with each of them has their own strengths. AJ's done a great job of kind of learning the offense and really adapting well to the speed of the game. He's obviously got to get stronger and bigger and things of that nature. Brandon came in with a lot of strength, but just adapting to the speed of the game, right? And how you have to get your feet in the ground, and you have to be able to play. You can't just lean on people and hit people and expect them to move, right? At this level, they're much more athletic, and so you have to be able to move your feet. And so just little subtle things like that, adjusting to the speed of the game. But they had a great offseason. Really proud of maybe how far they've come. But now we're a little bit in the, this is maturity mode. Like recruiting's over. I'm getting ready to play Big Ten football and everything that entails, right? So that adjustment is really hard. They're going to class without mom and dad for the first time. Nobody's telling them to do their homework and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot more temptations and things. So they're very much in the middle of that, right? And but I'm very pleased with where they are. I'm excited about their futures. I can see them contributing pretty early.
Do you have I remember talking to you a year ago about Brandon Henderson, and you were saying, hey, I think maybe I can travel with this kid as a true freshman. And
Yeah.
It seems like you might have the same excitement for Brandon and Hansen in a sense.
Yes, I do. The difference was we're a little bit deeper this year.
I can understand
so that. But he's probably on the same level. I don't know if he moves as well as Brandon did as a freshman in terms of how the speed of which he plays. Now, if you see him in a workout, his fluidity and his agility is phenomenal. Maybe better than Brandon Henderson's was, right? But just the speed of the game, just adjusting how fast those D linemen can move and things. That's where he's going to have to really take a next step. That's why the spring's so valuable, right? They're going to come back in the fall. They'll be like vets, because they've been through this really initial shock of spring football. So I do feel very strongly about both those guys. And I think Brandon has a very bright future.